Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of SimpliFinance with Shane White. Today is Sunday, April 4th, 2020. And it's Sunday morning. I'm up and moving, and I really just wanted to kind of post this. I'm going to call it a Sunday rant for all of you. And really, it's a Sunday, so obviously the stock market's been closed over the last 24 hours. But I really just wanted to dive in, kind of walk through what happened this last week, and then obviously kind of talk everyone through my thoughts on the coming weeks, knowing, it's going to be a difficult couple weeks as far as this coronavirus pandemic, and just what I think you guys could all take away from where we're at right now. So I'll just start off. The markets, had another rough week. Luckily, they weren't down nearly as much as we've seen over the previous few weeks. The Dow was down 1.7%, the NASDAQ finished at a negative 1.5%, and the S&P down a negative 1.5%. The only real bounce back we saw this week was the price of oil. So the price of oil surged nearly 30% as they think they're getting closer to a deal with the Middle East oil supply. So we'll see how that goes. That's probably one of the bigger news on the upside from this previous week. So as you know, we're a few days into April, which means we're also into the start of Q2 for most businesses. And we're in the next coming weeks, we will start to see earnings. And what that'll do is really give light to either how bad, or maybe on the positive side, if it wasn't as bad for some businesses, how this coronavirus, the first real month of being, or the first few weeks, I guess, of being locked down impacted the market. On the flip side, now that most states, and especially our country in the United States here, will be locked down the entire month of April, I think Q1 will be kind of a shadow into what Q2 will be. So all that said, what I really want to rant about and just kind of talk about this morning is, I think most of the people that I talk to right now are kind of in a place where all of us being locked in home, only going out for essential things, has kind of become, for a lack of a better word, the norm right now. But I think it's also starting to become a little bit of this, it's kind of like a drag on life right now, right? Like, a lot of people I think are a little bit down. I think a lot of people are probably drinking a little more than normal, not eating as well, not exercising because their gyms are closed. And I think at the same time, it's a great opportunity, or not an opportunity, but it's also a chance that people start to, not use this time in the best possible way they can. And there's a lot of people that I follow that gave some really good advice and context to this whole situation. And one of the things they said was, and I think this really resonated with me, is that, honestly, in most of our lifetimes, we'll never have this much free time again as we have right now. And that really hit home just in regards to the truth in that, right? A lot of us could use this time to kind of sulk, or, basically just waste our time on Netflix or video games. And not that those things aren't fun too. We're definitely doing some of that as we're home all the time. But I would just push a lot of you, if you are wanting to get better at investing, if you're wanting to just learn more about the markets, there's never going to be a better time than right now. I'm pumped that you're watching or listening to this podcast. I think that's an awesome step, right? And you're trying to learn and trying to figure out more about what you want to do. But I would push you to do even more right now. I mean, I think a lot of us could take this time to learn. If you're someone new in the market, now's a great time to just read on a lot of these investment websites. Yes, they might be confusing, but you can always come back here. I am more than happy to answer questions or break anything down for you. I'm just going to announce it so I feel like I'm stuck doing it. I'm kind of setting a goal for myself to see if I can post 21 of these over the next 21 days starting today. We'll see how that goes. They say a streak is set, or a habit is set in 21 days. So I'm going to give myself 21 days to see if I can, really get this ball rolling. And I think there's not a better time than now to try to help people. So if you're, like I said, if you're new, this is a great time to great time to learn about the stock market, as well as, use my Google tracker, my Google Sheet rebound tracker that's in the show notes, and make your own even, or go on any of the investment websites like Robinhood, and just kind of like what I tell a lot of my friends if they don't want to actually put money in right now, but they want to learn and get better is, pretend like you're putting your money in, right? Like I have friends that I'm like, okay, if you have $1,000 you want to invest, put $1,000 in an Excel sheet or a Google sheet, and then using my tracker, keep track of the price it is right now of the stock you're interested in. Pretend like you're buying shares of that. So let's say you have $1,000. You want to buy a share of company A. It's $100. You technically can buy 10 shares, right? So 10 times 100, the share price times the amount of shares you could afford with $1,000. And then using Google Finance, and you can see it in the sheet that I have attached, you can have the stock prices pull live, or you're just doing this for practice, so you could update it weekly or daily, whatever you wish, by just going to any of the websites that track stocks and just see how they perform, right? And then start to diagnose why things are going up and down. More than happy to if you reach out, I'm happy to help. And really to start practicing, right? Like you can practice without actually putting money in and investing. So that's one way to do it. And the other way is just, pay attention a little more. Like we're all home. I know a lot of us are working remote. You can pick up on a lot of things by just spending more time, because what I really want people to be ready for is the next 2 weeks are going to be really bad, I think. I mean, everything we're seeing is, the next 2 weeks to even a month potentially could be really bad as far as people getting sick and dying. And so what I'm hoping is by pushing a lot of this content out, by helping a lot of people over the next, give it month, I hope a lot of people can really feel like they learned a lot when it comes to investing and personal finance through this. And when the market is ready to rebound and we are starting to see, positive progression, that people are ready to invest and jump back in and help build wealth for themselves. So use this time wisely. And if you're a seasoned investor and you're listening to this too, I think it's kind of an interesting point in time just in general for us who've been in the market. I know I've mentioned this earlier on a podcast that, I decided to move a lot of my investments back into cash. I think at this point, cash is king right now with the market and the way it is, and the uncertainties involved right now. I've decided to move a lot of our investments back into cash for the time being. But for all of you, this is also a great time if you are seasoned. You could make money, right? If you're into shorting, you could bet on the down. And like I've been saying the last few weeks, I definitely don't know the answer. No one knows the answer to where the bottom is in the stock market right now. But I think it's safe to say that stocks are very cheap right now, So if you're one of those people or a new person, this is where practicing and really starting to pay attention could really benefit you when the markets do turn around. That's something I'm trying to keep an eye on across the board, is holding on to cash right now, but ready to reinvest quickly when the time comes, because things are going to be cheap. And I think I've said this before too on this podcast, but I truly believe that when things do turn around, this will be one of the best buying opportunities that our generation will possibly see in our lifetime. I think things are going to be cheaper than they've been in a long time, and then the market's gonna bounce back and continue to go up. So that's it for me today. Just a short 10 minutes here. First Sunday rant. And, I hope everyone is staying healthy, staying positive, and we'll be back soon. But again, not trying to be somber or sad on this one, trying to actually be the opposite and push some positivity out. So I hope all of you have a great Sunday and are ready for another big week in the stock market. We'll see you guys tomorrow.